Hello, everyone. This is Rakhmad Sobirov. Greetings from Toronto, Canada. We are starting our live session today. It's a joint session between Sobirovs law firm and Immigration Shop. As you know, we bring you the right and raw information about Canada so that you make your choice wisely and in an informed fashion. Today, I have a great guest. He was very kind to join me in this live session. He's my countryman from Uzbekistan. However, he traveled around the world. He has seen many things, although he's very young. And now we will be talking today about software engineers. What are they? How they survive in Canada? And they became the heroes of this pandemic, along with other essential workers. That software engineers in Canada are very needed. They're in high demand, and we will be talking, we will be asking. I don't have any list of questions, although I prepared some, but we will be focusing on your questions. Okay, those who just joined, welcome. And today's session is about being a software engineer at Amazon Canada. I have my great friend and countryman Bek Abdikamalov with me. I will chime him in very soon. Let me first give you a bit of housekeeping items. The sessions that you are following on our social media are live, and everything and anything can happen during live session. If you get disconnected, please come back to our YouTube channel or Facebook page. We will reconnect. Secondly, I'm a licensed lawyer in Canada, and whatever I say or my guests tell you about legal stuff here is not to be considered as legal advice. It's general information only. So tell us where you're coming from and prepare your question. I will bring your questions in the second half of our live session. So before I bring our guest in, let me tell, hey, hi, Beck, how are you? All right.
Hello.
Yes,
Good morning.
I want to introduce who is Beck. He's back in the neighborhood. So he gave me a quick overview of who he is, and we will know more about him today. So he just moved to Vancouver, Canada. Unfortunately, he didn't move to Toronto. I'm a big fan of Toronto. So he joined Amazon Canada in Vancouver, in British Columbia, as a software engineer. He spent some time in South Korea doing his work for almost 9 years. It's quite a long time back. He's originally from Uzbekistan. Yeah, everybody from Uzbekistan, greetings to you. He studied computer science and math. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of math, but I know it's an important subject in our lives. He did bachelor's in computer and math, and he did masters, and he focused on new indoor localization system. We will ask you about that. I don't know what it is. He worked in several startups in Seoul, Korea, South Korea, where he did mix of data science, full stack development, web, mobile apps, and everything in between. So he loves dancing. I think you love K-pop, I get Korean pop, and he loves singing. We will not be asking you to sing today, and he loves playing soccer. So this is briefly about Beck. Welcome back. Thank you very much for taking the time. Let us start with the general questions. How are you doing so far?
Uh, Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. Thank you for inviting me for an interview. So I'm doing great so far. I'm really happy. I'm really nice to see you're here and yeah, share my story.
Excellent, excellent. We would love to hear your story back today, and I'm sure our listeners will joining from different parts of the world. Tell us where you're coming from. We would like to know where you joining us. And so let me start with this. Let me get back to where you're coming from. So you're how old are you now?
I'm gonna be 28 this year
28.
in
Okay.
September.
At
Yeah.
the age of 28, you got master's degree, you got 9 years of work experience, and so on. Let me get back to your teenage years when you were doing bachelor's. Where did you study? Which university did you study?
Okay, cool. So just I'll make a little bit of small correction here. Like I don't have a 9 years of experience, but I lived in Korea for 9 years. So
Okay.
I did 6 years of studies there. So like 3, 4 years of work experience before coming to Canada. So
All right.
so regarding the question, how it everything started. So from teenage years, right? So um, so basically, I fell in love with computers when I first really knew the internet when I was like seventh grade. So
Hmm.
I started participating in some competitions. I really loved coding. Just my eyesight gets so bad because I was just coding, trying to learn like HTML and all these basics. And I joined high school, which was like specialized in like English and mathematics mostly. And I participated in some Olympiads in English, in mathematics, and I had a very uh, strong vision that like I want to make something happen. I want to build some great products in the future from early age, which I feel extremely grateful to find out at the very early age, because as we know, most people like trying to figure it out until very late age, like what I'm gonna do, what they want to study. But I had a very like strict vision, like I'm gonna be with computers. That's all. Like it was fixed. There is no
I,
more question about that.
and
So
what was your first computer? Let me ask that.
Sure. It was a computer that brought my father from his work for temporarily during his work, which was like a Windows XP. It has operating systems like very old one, and I don't remember. It was like one of those like really big ones, like the with big monitor like in the
Yeah.
back. It's very heavy,
Yeah.
like with big processor on the side. So you had to like put the disks and to connect to internet you had to like do the dialing stuff like the dialings the very old like 56K technology
I
like
I see. Okay. So
yeah
let's. So you studied. You fell in love with computers. You loved
yeah
coding. And let's start. What was your first ever practical experience for which you were paid? Let's say.
oh okay that's a great question because um uh, I had near my home. We had my mother's office was near our home, so I would visit her office because she had a computer. We didn't have a personal computer at home, so whenever there is an opportunity, I would just visit. And when at one of those visits, I happened to find out there was another kind of private small company. It's actually like an auditing company, so I
Yeah.
think it's something close to your industry. So and I used to teach them how to use internet and how to take advantage of it, how to download information, how to get books
Hmm.
and etc. Or if I had to fix them. But for that they didn't actually pay me money first, but they said, okay, we let you use internet for that, but you have to help us. So that was like a kind of a exchange of value in that way. So, but that's like it was like a best gift for me. Like if somebody lets me use the internet, I'm like so happy.
Okay.
That was the first.
I,
Mm.
so which university you went in Uzbekistan? You could,
So yeah, in 2011, I graduated from my high school, and I applied for Tashkent Institute of T University of Technology, Information Technology.
information
We
technology.
call it like Tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tattoo. Yeah.
So it was specialized in the computer science and software engineer, all these kind of fields. So I studied there one semester, but I dropped out of the school and decided to move to Korea
Hmm.
because I wanted to challenge myself in a more like competitive area with the, because as we know, South Korea is developing so rapidly.
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, let me challenge myself to in the more like global world. So that was my first step abroad.
I see. I see. Great. So you dropped out from Uzbek University. You went to South Korea. Which university in South Korea you studied? Did you focus on computer science, I believe, and related areas?
Yes, yeah, I was always in that area. I never went out far from
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
So the name was UNIST, abbreviation.
Mm-hmm.
So which means that Ulsan National Institute of Science and Technology. So
Oh,
it's a very
oh,
science focused very university.
I see.
Um, I
And
think it's ranked in the world like 200 something. Maybe it's not like the top university, but it's rapidly growing.
I can see that there are many people and listeners joining from South Korea. So greetings to your friends. Maybe those South Korean listeners, they know you, they know your university, and it's a great achievement to see a graduate from that university in working for Amazon Canada. So let me quickly make a quick announcement for those who just joined. We are talking to speaking with Bek Abdikamalov, originally from Uzbekistan and currently at Amazon Canada, and we go by Bek. That's what he prefers. I believe it's a short name, so I know. Did you shorten your name because because people couldn't pronounce it? It's just a curious question.
Yeah, actually, before I even go out of the country, everybody called me back,
I see.
like from my early age, all my friends, everyone. So I didn't have to make any modifications due to pronunciation difficulties.
I
It
see.
was just a natural thing,
Because
which I feel extremely lucky.
that's something that we Uzbeks and foreign born specialists and immigrants do, that we shorten our names in order for the Canadians, local born and raised Canadians, to be able to pronounce it. So I just was curious. Okay, guys, we are live and you can send us your questions. I can see many questions here from India, from Uzbekistan, from Philadelphia in the US. Send us your questions. This is all about you. I'm almost done with my questions and then we will switch to yours. So if you want to keep yourself updated about our future events, follow us on social media. Immigration Shop is the right address for you. So Beck, let me ask this: how did you learn? How did you come to know what took you? How was your experience learning English? Let's say English, Canada, they go together in order to be able to successfully to come to Canada on any reasons, probably to work, for example, like you need to know English. What's your journey in learning English?
Okay, sure. So English is like it was like my friend. I felt like English is a kind of a bridge to my goals. Like I always saw it like a bridge that I had to pass through to get in order to get to my goals, my ambitions.
Mm-hmm.
So from my seventh grade, when I decided, okay, I'm gonna try go abroad, I think in the future. So I was extremely interested in learning English, but I usually don't really enjoy learning languages. But I'm in a pragmatic way. I started learning English. Like, okay, if I learn this, I'll get to this.
Uh,
So from my seventh grade, I used to go to after school lessons, specific lessons with my brother, with my cousin,
mhm.
and we used to learn in a very fun way because we started very early. We would learn English with other like people who are actually preparing for like government exams in order to get into universities. But we were just having fun, like just learning English, enjoying, having some interesting example sentences. Like we were not in a rush. We didn't have much pressure. I
Mhm.
think that helped us to kind of fall in love with the language a little bit,
Mhm.
because usually when you are studying for something, you're like extremely stressful because if I don't get IELTS like 7, it will be extremely like I'll be sad, so I have to study. No, it wasn't like that. It was just
Now,
fun, yeah,
here's
mostly.
a pragmatic question for you, Beck. Many people consider that for software engineers and coding specialists, they don't need language. Now you have come from non-English country to another. Well, maybe some English is spoken in South Korea, but now you came to fully English country in Canada. What's your advice? Do you think that software engineers need a language, not only the computer language, but also English? What's your take on that? What do you think?
Yeah, I think I like this question because I have a very strong opinion about this.
Mhm.
Um, because I believe that soft skills are becoming extremely important soft skills. We call it soft skills, right? Hard skills are the ones like Java, like some Python, like coding, software architecture, and stuff. But soft skills are like how you actually communicate with your coworkers, how you communicate to your customers, and if and the language is so important, I think, because actually experienced in both ways. So I was living in Korea. I worked with some companies that was not using English a lot. So, but my Korean skills were not very good. So I felt extremely disconnected from my coworkers, like isolation. You feel extreme isolation. You can still do your job, you can do coding, you can get some documentation, but you want to like speak with them, you want to talk to them, you want to brainstorm with them certain ideas. But so in summary, I would say English, or whatever the language you're going to be in that environment with, you have to really know it to really enjoy that process to get into the next level. I think that's my opinion about that.
Very good, very good. Thank you. And now the main question. Let's focus on how did you get to Amazon? It's an open-ended question. Tell us, how did you get to Amazon?
Sure. So it's a quite long process, right? Like since my so the how Amazon HR representative contacted me through email when I was living in Seoul and working for a startup. I had a LinkedIn profile. I guess they found it using that. They usually found it. So I recommend everyone to make sure that they have up-to-date LinkedIn profiles, because that's one of the most famous ways they kind of reach out to the potential employees. So they contacted me almost over 1.5 years ago in like January of last year. And they were like, hey, do you want to work in this? Do you want to help us to innovate our delivery technology? So they kind of let you know that we're gonna be hiring you to this specific team, and they give you information about this team to make you more like attracted, instead of saying, hey, do you want Amazon? Like, no, like they say like, oh, you want to improve this technology. It's very specifically. So they emailed me. I was like, oh, yeah, of course, yeah, I like Amazon. And the office is located in Canada. They were hiring for Canada office, and actually I applied for the express entry program to get into the PR of Canada at the time. So I was like, of course, I want to move to Canada. Why not with Amazon? So, and I sent my resume.
And so the number one advice is have your LinkedIn up to date and without any mistakes. Like keep it up to date. It's your basically digital resume, right? The digital CV. Okay, great. So they approached you and you were excited. How the process works? Can you give us more? Listeners will be very interested how the process works itself.
Sure. Yeah. So the overall process. So I send my up-to-date resume. I made sure that everything is correct, because you don't want to like lose your job because you made small mistakes in your resume, right? So you have to be extremely diligent about every number, every date on your resume. I made sure that I checked it. When I sent my back, and they were like, "Oh, I think you're a good candidate," and they send me an online assessment. They call it online assessment, which is two problems. They give me two problems, and they give me a certain time limit. I think it was like 3 hours. So during 3 hours, I had to go to this website and open this problem and put my solution using my coding to make sure it works with all the tests. They have several tests that will make sure that your code is perfect. Then you submit your coding test, and they get back to me. They get back to you. Okay, you're gonna pass to the next round. So next round, after a couple of weeks, they send me, okay, your solutions look good. We want to continue with your application. Then we'll have a phone screening, which is a very short call, 30 minutes call with HR representative. And they ask me about like, can you tell me your biggest achievement? Like, can you tell me a time when you're like some kind of behavioral questions they ask you?
Yeah.
To make sure that you are kind of a good person and with interesting personality. Like they really care about your personality. If you are fit with Amazon, because they have a very strong culture.
I
They
see.
they want to make sure that they hire very specific type of personalities who are
Mm-hmm.
like ambitious, who are so they have like a 14 leadership principles. They make sure that people kind of know about them and they follow that kind of cultural principles.
Mm-hmm.
Then there, after you pass that screen, there's another 30 minutes. It's a 1 hour phone call with a engineer. So now it's gonna be technical.
Mm-hmm.
So they make call and we open the laptop and we code together. It's called live coding.
Mm-hmm.
So they give me like, hey, can you describe this algorithm or can you solve this problem? They give me some problems in coding for 30 minutes. Then 30 minutes again, cultural, behavioral questions.
So
So you can see the
three
pattern
30
here.
minute interviews, basically. Three 30-minute interviews. Oh wow. That's a very
Yeah,
rigorous process. Are they still
but there
hiring?
is more.
Yeah. Are they still hiring
That's
for
just
those listeners who are in your field? Is Amazon constantly looking for jobs like for people like you?
oh yeah, crazy. Like they looking like every day they're hiring thousands of employees now because they're expanding a lot.
Uh-huh.
They're just growing like crazy. Yeah. Yes, you can see from their market cap, like revenues, like it's growing company, fast growing. So they always need, especially software engineers are very hard to find. Like when you get into, before you get into industry, when you're like a youth student, you feel like, oh, everyone is gonna be software engineer. Oh, I'm scared. I don't have a job. But when you get into the industry, you get to know the industry. You work for the companies. When you start interviewing other candidates, so I had some experience with that too. I'm like, wow, it's so hard to find good candidates. So
Uh,
they're always looking for, and there is no problem with shortage of jobs. I think almost in anywhere in the world, especially software in
mm,
the software engineering world.
very good.
Yeah, there is more step after that. Yeah, like there is a after that there is a final interview, which is a 4 hour interview. Yeah,
Four
that's the
hours of
virtual
interview. Wow.
4 hour. Yeah, with four different senior engineers.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
After you pass that, they will send you an email. Like if they offer you, they say like, "Do you have a time for call?" They never make you offer mostly like on the email. They never reject you or give you offer on the phone, but they give you a call and they want to see your reaction and stuff like.
I see. I see. Okay, great, great. And now, many listeners they ask a lot of questions. Dear listeners, for those who just joined, we are speaking with Bek Abdikamalov, software engineer at Amazon Canada. He's telling us his story, and he and I will be responding to your questions. I can respond related to immigration side, and Beck can respond related questions related to Amazon and being an Amazon software engineer. Those please send us your questions. We will be starting, let's say, in 5 minutes answering your questions. Half an hour is taken to our conversation, and then the rest is about your questions. Okay, so to keep yourself updated, follow us on social media. This video will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. Don't worry, you can replay and revisit this video as soon as it's uploaded. And Beck, let me ask you about your immigration goals now. Now your Amazon hired you, and did they do all the immigration stuff for you, like work permit, work visa, and application?
Yeah, sure. Getting an offer from a big corporation has this benefit where you don't have to do almost anything. They
Mm-hmm.
will, in terms of immigration, so they have an amazing way of making sure that you can move to the country you are getting job to. But the only problem is like they usually hire from like more senior roles. They don't hire like recent graduates, and they offer you visa because it's a lot of cost, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of cost.
Yeah.
So so when you get an offer, they connect you with a special immigration firm. In my case, it was I think it was like PwC maybe. So and they have a couple of lawyers that will be in touch with you. Like they say, can you send me your passport? Can you send me that document? Can you send me this? Can you send me that? You send all of the documents that they ask for, and they apply for you. They make sure that they keep you updated, like, oh, we applied for this. Now we have to wait for the government to reply, or we have this missing information. And they make sure that they all, and when you move to the place, they even help you with a relocation. Like you can send your packages, your mails, your boxes, if you have a lot of stuff. All this, and they help you with finding the apartment, and they give you some small amount of money also to make sure that you settle well. So
Good.
yeah,
They do the whole soft landing, right? They help you to soft land in Canada with all the documents, right, and so on. Great. So
exactly.
now let's, if you don't mind, Bek, I will of course put my own questions too, but I want to address the questions of our listeners. Dear listeners, please don't shy away. Put your questions and put like to this video if you like what we are discussing, and share it with others, so the knowledge is shared around and people get the benefit of that. So in terms of questions, I bring the questions like this. For example, I can bring it like this, and then we will answer those questions, okay? Please don't hesitate to ask any questions related to Amazon or related to immigration. We are here to answer your questions, okay? Now I will scroll down back and try to not miss any questions, but if I miss, please listeners, let me know if I miss your question. So here's the first question from Nasrullah. So here's my question. My son studies computer engineering in the US. What about computer engineering in Canada? Do you know, can you elaborate on that? Software engineer and computer engineer. You are the expert on this. Bek?
So it's hard. I didn't fully understand this question. So um, study the son is studying in USA now with a
Yeah. What
specialty.
about
What about
computer
computer
engineering?
engineering?
Yeah. What advice you can give to his son, let's say?
Mm, I think there is no much difference with studying in Canada and US in terms of knowledge you get or the experience you get.
Mhm.
Uh, However, I think in terms of uh, it depends on the what is a school like a reputation. So when you're studying for a great like a top school,
Mhm.
the Amazon, Google, Facebook, they usually come to you and they want to hire you.
Mhm.
So in that case, it becomes much easier to land into top companies in that way.
Yeah,
Uh, so I would, or even if it's not the top school, I think you can still get a great job as long as you just make sure that you do some internships, you do some side projects when you're studying. So, for example, when I was studying for university, I was like always try to do some extra work, do some websites, some mobile applications when I had some free time. So I would recommend his son um, to do always to make sure that they have always practicing their skills, not just learning like theoretical knowledge, but making sure that they practice well.
I see. Okay. Next question from Fred Yuldashev. He is from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. What stack do you work with?
Sure, this is very technical.
Yeah.
So um, my favorite tech stack that I usually work with is Python. I use Python a lot with Django, REST framework. I use for smaller projects, I use Flask. Uh, Currently, my projects I'm doing Node.js and React.js.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the tech stacks that I'm really falling in love. Like I really love working with.
Okay, great. So, people watching us from Munich, greetings to Munich. Uh, so, um, here's a excuse me. Here's a general question. How can I become? I don't have a knowledge in the field of IT. How can I become an IT engineer, but I'm proficient user of PC. I have master's degree in the field of biotechnology. What would be your advice?
So one thing I would say is just as soon as possible, just start learning something basics, learn some language. Like the easiest one to start with would be Python, which is widely used in the companies. And it's easy to start with. So you get some book or some kind of online course. Make sure you go through every step and try to finish like one small like pet project with that language, and make sure that you put that in resume to show that you have a passion for this industry. That's I would recommend to start with
Let me
Python.
paraphrase, Bek, if you allow. Let me paraphrase. What in your opinion, what's the future of biotechnology when you combine it with what's happening in the field of software engineering, computers, internet, and so on? What's your take on biotechnology?
I think biotechnology is one of the most promising fields, and it's growing like rapidly. So one example I would give, one of the most interesting companies that I know is Neuralink, which is founded by Elon Musk. That they work with the human brain and trying to understand how human brain works. It's very interesting. I think there will be a lot of new companies emerging in that industry, and I'm really personally I'm really excited about this field. And for example, even a lot of vaccines are being developed thanks to the machine learning field of IT, which you can get familiar with if you study Python, especially.
I see.
So I would recommend to look into machine learning, artificial intelligence, on those fields and how it can be applied into biotechnology. I think that will be very, very interesting thing to do, and make sure that like you really like the field or not.
Okay, great. And many people are telling that, Bek, we are proud of you and wishing you all the best. I think that's very nice of them. It's great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for
Yeah,
joining us. We will answer
can
all
I
your
speak?
questions. Yeah, please.
Can I speak in Karakalpak to my Karakalpak audience here
Yes,
from my hometown?
please. Yeah,
Yeah.
please.
Assalamualaikum hammaga salam. So, yeah, rahmat tilaklarim uchun.
Excellent. Yeah, those I apologize. We are maintaining our conversation only in English. I know there are many non-English speaking audience in the room following us. However, in order to capture wider range of audiences and different people can benefit from this conversation, we only maintain in English our conversation, but in the future, I hope we will do some other languages too. Okay, now, Bek, here's another question from Eldor Bek. Is can you also give some information? How do you find job and the ways to get jobs in Canada from Uzbekistan? What would you do if you were in Uzbekistan to find a job in Canada?
So it will not be easy. I would say that if you are far from the country, like when I was in Korea, I applied to so many jobs. Like almost 90% will ignore your emails. You should be ready for that. I mean, that's realistic, like being realistic. But I would try to get attention from them. Like how I would ask myself, like, how can I stand out from all the other people that will try to come to this country to come try to get these jobs? How can I make sure I can stand out, right? So it's not easy to stand out. Like when they see your profile, they should be like, wow, this guy is interesting, or this girl is very interesting. So I would try to do some really interesting projects like that would get an attention from them. Or I would write in an interesting email like, hey, I'm interested about this, like to make sure it's very personal, to make sure that you are passionate about this field. And while waiting, don't just wait and apply, but just work, just wherever you are in Uzbekistan or South Korea, wherever you are, just keep working in those local companies or in some startups, and make sure you keep the track record of your performances. Like, oh, I did this project in this company, I did this project in this company, but don't get stuck in one place and just wait for those jobs in Canada. Just keep working, making sure you have the skills. You're always growing personally in every way possible. Just keep growing, and there will be a day when they will email you or they will actually get back to you. But don't wait for them to actually get you an offer. But just keep working on your skills, and eventually you'll get the job. I believe that.
I see. Very good. Dear listeners, I know we are broadcasting live, and we have some lagging of video from Bek, but I think audio, his voice is coming through very well. There's some lagging on the video side. I hope for your understanding in that, because it's a live session and we are trying our best. Okay, next question, Bek, is this one from Mansur Kurtov. He says, I have 9 years of experience in C++. I guess that's the. I also want to work at foreign top IT companies. Please advise me how I need to prepare for interview.
Okay, very nice, Mansour. That's a very good. That's a very good. I think that you have 9 years of experience in C sharp. So this language is called C sharp, which we use to mostly to develop iOS applications for iPhone. I guess mobile developer. I'm guessing Mansour is a mobile developer. What I would recommend is when the people in top companies, especially hire, they make sure you have a basic data structures information, algorithms information. So I would recommend going to like platforms like LeetCode and HackerRank.com. Like there are platforms that you can practice your interview coding skills. I would recommend you to go there, solve at least like 3-4 problems per day, like 2-3 problems, making sure that you have a wide range of skills in coding, in algorithms and lectures, and making sure that you have an interesting resume. Make sure that before from other candidates, try to put some projects that you made, some of the mobile applications, some of the projects you put. That's what I would recommend. So prepare for algorithmic questions. You do interesting projects. Make sure resume is interesting. Okay.
Okay, great. Now,
yeah, C sharp is used in many projects.
Great. Now, Miss Inderprit Singh is asking the following question: is degree required for getting into Amazon? Because I'm doing 2-year diploma at Seneca College, and they are going to teach C and C++ for the 2 years program. What can I do in this scenario?
Okay. This one of the trends that's happening that I'm kind of noticing these days is most companies don't really care about your degree. They care about your skills. They care about what kind of projects did you do. Almost all of my interviews during my Amazon interview was like, they ask you specific examples. What kind of projects did you do? How did you handle this problem? How did you find out solutions for this problem? So shortly speaking, degree is not important. Skill is important.
Skill is important.
Experience is important. Yes.
I see. And the same person asked, will this live be saved? Yes. Follow us on social media at ImmigrationShop, and everything is saved there. And there are other conversations we had with foreigners who came to Canada to study and to work. All right. Thank you guys for active participation. We can take more questions. Now, Fred is asking very interesting question. Can you specifically describe which algorithm or problems you had to work with when it came to your interview? As much as you can, disclose. Of course, there are some confidentiality and other stuff, but as much as you can.
Sure. So I cannot disclose like very detailedly, of course, because of the legal. But what I would say is, if you go to LeetCode platform, leetcode.com, I think I can type in the chat room.
Yeah, please do.
I just typed it. Yeah. So if you go there, and there are top problems, like they say, top most used problems in interviews. You go there, you open the list, and solve the top problems, like 100 or 200 of them. If you go even better, would be 300, top 300 problems. Then you'll be ready to tackle all the problems. So that's my answer.
I see. So Bek Cruz is asking, can you share your LinkedIn profile, please? But if it's up to you, if you can share. I think you can easily be found on LinkedIn by your name and last name, right?
No, I cannot be found, I think, if I don't put my URL.
I see. So
I can put it, sure.
Yeah, if you can, that would be great. So now we answered this question a little bit from Otash Yakubov. How did you find the open position at Amazon? Was looking for engineers? Was it through career fairs or universities? Dear Otash, Bek, our guest, mentioned that he was approached by Amazon HR through LinkedIn, right? So that's how it started. Do you have anything to add?
So I would recommend, I would recommend going to all the websites, not only Amazon, Google, Facebook. Just go to open positions and send your resume and your email, and they will get back to you. Also, one good thing is that when I lived in Seoul, they would come every 6 months. It was called hiring events. Like Amazon HR people and engineers would come every 6 months and invite people to join. So if you're in those kind of countries, you can kind of wait for them to come unless they get back to you just directly. But usually they just come in some countries, they just visit and they try to get some people from, because South Korea is known to be full of great engineers. So they kind of want to get good engineers from Korea.
I see.
I think they go to like Ireland, some India, some of the countries. I don't think they go to Uzbekistan, for example. Not yet, but yeah.
I see. Great. So let's continue with the questions. Shuhrat John is asking this question. While Amazon was hiring you, did they pay attention to your portfolio, like how long your experience was, mostly what you know about software engineer, and did they pay attention to your portfolio?
Yes, for sure. So they spend a lot in Amazon to get to know like your behavioral part. When they ask you about behavioral questions, they ask you like, oh, we see that you worked for this company and you worked on this project based on your resume. So how did you solve this particular problem, or did you happen to see this problem? They look at your experience, but they don't really care. Like I think that how many years? Like, is it 4 years or 5 years, or is it 7 years? As long as you have sufficient, like enough years of experience, and you can demonstrate it, it will be good. And also, of course, they also pay attention to what you know about software engineering in general during those questions.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Another great question from Fred Yuldashev. He's asking, on average, how many hours per week should someone spend learning, practicing coding?
Okay. If your aim is top company, you should spend all your awake hours coding, and mostly like but as we know, every human has a like a maximum 3 hours of productive hours. I would say, so per day, if you spend 3 hours, let's say on average, then per week would be 21 hours, about. So 20 hours per week if you spend, very good productive hours for coding, I think you'll get into a good company.
Great, great. Dear listeners, we will get to all of your questions. We allocated 2 hours of our time, and I thank you for that, Bek, answering great questions with great answers. For those who want to keep updated on our future events, subscribe to our channel, follow us, like us, and share the videos that you like with your friends and network. So, Bek, another question is from Nasrullah, is asking, um, is it in computer engineers are in high demand in Canada, which you partially answered yes, and because everybody talks about software developers or software engineers, what do you think about the demand of computer engineers in Canada?
There is no, when I talk about computer engineering, when I talk about software developing, software engineer, all three, I mean, same thing. I mean, they're all same. They're interchangeable. So it's not like, but they're all same, and but they are divided into like web developers, mobile developers, data scientists, data engineers, etc. Those are all in high demand. But I would even make this answer even more accurate by saying good software engineers are in high demand, good ones. Like, so make sure you are good, then they will beg for you to join these companies. They will beg for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, great. Now, it's more about the lead code that you shared. How many problems so far in lead code, which is enough for you to get a job in Amazon? That's very. I don't know how to answer that question. Can you take a crack on?
Sure. There isn't like a golden number, but like I said before, like 300 problems, like most used problems, if you solve, I think you'll be in a very, very good position.
200. Okay. Okay. 200.
200, 300. Yeah.
200,
I
300.
think I solved around 300 problems. I don't remember exactly, but I
Mhm.
would, every day I try to solve like 2 problems per day. And I can give you one more website that I used called Pramp,
Okay. Yeah.
pramp.com, I think.
Type it up. That would be really useful for others.
So I can, so what you do in the Pramp is, what we are doing with Rakhmad now, with another person who is also preparing for job interviews, you give each other problems and you solve together. So you act like an interviewer and another person interview, and you give out, so it makes very fun way of solving problems.
I see. That's great. That's more interactive and interesting. Okay.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Um, Now, let me bring questions. Oops, sorry. Let me bring questions here. Ghulamov Shahrukh Mirza, we answered that question, and I think in their
About
previous answer,
300.
yeah. Can a web developer get into Amazon? That's a simple.
Yeah, I am actually the web developer, so you can see.
I see. So
I
you're a
mean,
great example, living example of it.
oh yeah, web developers are in high demand. Yeah, so don't worry about like, yeah.
Okay, another question from the same person. I'm going one by one, dear listeners. Please put your question down in the comments and like this video if you really like it. So, can you share the best tips for fresheners with no prior experience in the industry, how to crack a job at Amazon? You already
So
did, but anything additional you can add?
so I think I can add one extra knowledge here, which is if you're not in that country, if you need visa assistance, if you don't have any experience before, very, very highly likely that they will not offer you a job at Amazon. Like it's almost, yeah, highly likely. So best advice I would give is try to do projects in your work, outside of your work, when you are just starting to work for some company, and get some experience. But while you get for experience, just make sure that you solve those lead code problems like once per week, once, twice per week, or something like that, and make sure you have, the frequency goes up as you get closer to that range of like 3 years of experience, 2 years of experience, when you will be considered as a candidate for jobs at these top companies. Then so you'll be ready.
Hmm.
Also, one thing I wanted to mention that I didn't, I think, mention much is make sure you are a good person, like like easy to communicate with, right?
Hmm.
Like do sports, communicate with people, socialize, enjoy life, uh, because they really pay attention, especially in Amazon, if you have a good personality, because they will be working with you.
So here's
Yeah.
a very great question from Fred Yuldashev. He's asking related to this topic. He
Ah,
wants to
okay.
know, how about burning down? At times I get so burned that I don't want to even look at the screen anymore. So what you said, doing sports, doing something active is relevant to this, right?
It's a very good segue, I think, to that question, right?
Yeah.
So I experience this a lot, right? Still, I experience this sometimes because outside of my work, I do some pet projects. Also, I do some side projects, so I'm always coding. One of the ways is making sure you are getting enough exercise, making sure you have a good blood circulation in your body, right? Like, look at your body and you're like, okay, this is my body. How can I make sure that my body is the most very productive? To make it productive, there are a lot of studies shown that you have to take a walk at least 30 minutes per day. You have to socialize, because one of the most common ways programmers do is, like, one of the common mistakes is they just get stuck in the screen. They just never communicate with others, never socialize, meet friends, talk. And so I would recommend getting a lot of exercise, talking to people, like even saying hi to some people, or like calling with your parents, like makes you like fresh again.
Yeah.
And get enough sleep, like 8 hours of sleep, like that's scientifically proven, right? And take naps when you're tired, because the important thing is just enjoying it. So if you're not enjoying coding, then what's the point? Yeah.
Yeah. Here's a question from me, Beck, if you allow me. What's your plan with respect to Canada in the next 3, 5 years? Do you like Canada? What do you like about Canada? Can you compare it to South Korea?
Sure, yeah. So I love Canada, especially I think Vancouver, where I'm living now, is one of the most beautiful places I have ever been. Like, it's just, I wake up in the morning, I look at the view, I'm like, wow, is this dream or is it reality? Like, this is beautiful. So I'm gonna my one of my goals is to get into to become high one of the best engineers at Amazon. That's my short-term goal.
Mhm.
So, because that's a next level challenge for me. So while doing that, I'm gonna try to enjoy this nature, this beautiful nature here, and get to know more friends, meet new people, networking. Like, networking is one of the most underrated things, I think, even especially for software engineers. So I want to get to know some really successful people here, cool people I want to meet, and yeah, have fun. Just yeah.
Great. When you compare to South Korean society and Canadian society, you are in Canada for almost 3 months now. What can you say about these two societies, the way they work culture, and so on?
Ah, sure. The one of the biggest differences, I would say, Canadians, or yeah, people here are very relaxed, very relaxed. In Korea, people would work so hard. The working hours are very, very fixed, and like you have to work from certain hour to certain hour, almost like a 10 hours per day. People always in the office. But here, people have fun. People have dogs. People walk outside. People go to nature, like biking. Even when you're driving on the roads, like cars are not in rush at all. Like, they're just going like smoothly. Like, nobody's in rush.
How about you worked at many startups in South Korea, and now you're working at an established company, Amazon. Uh, what differences you see in the workplaces in terms of like communicating with people, maybe outside of work life with your colleagues and so on?
Yeah, sure. I think one of the biggest differences is in Canada. I feel like people they're very diverse cultures. For example, in my team, we have like people from Russia, people from India, China, Sweden, some European countries. It's very diverse. In Korea, I was the only foreigner, or there was another foreigner, and but like 90% of them were like Koreans. I think that made a lot of difference. Uh,
Yeah.
and
And I think,
Korea is very fast.
yeah, and I think also just to add to your point is diversity in Canada is considered to be the strength of Canada. We bring people from around the world, across all ethnicities, and it's one of the diversity is actually governmental policy in Canada, like real life policy. You can see 400,000 people will be accepted as immigrants, permanent residents
Yeah,
this year alone. So Canada is built on diversity and will continue to be built on diversity. That's a good point, and you can see it at Amazon. I think Amazon Canada symbolizes and mirrors the Canadian society with how many diverse people you work with. All right,
yeah,
let's get back to our listeners' question because that's more important than my question. So uh, Bahadur Alimov is asking, what would you recommend to students who are already studying in Canada for an MBA, but really want to change their specialty to IT? They're studying MBA, but they want to change to IT.
yeah. Actually, there are some anecdotes from my life, from the people around me who actually switched to IT from other fields.
Hmm.
Like one of the most successful examples I would give is one of my like a people that I know is he was in economic he was an economist,
Okay.
and he switched to IT. Now he works for Facebook, like, and so that's a very I would say inspiring example. I would say so. The way he did was he found a job as a very beginner, like a some company local, like it's not a big company, but he started working for them. While working for them in the weekends, he would try to make sure that his skills are growing. uh, so because when you find a job even as an intern, you learn a lot, like so a lot. Like when you apply for jobs at that period, I think your goal should be to make sure your skills are growing, but not like salary or something like that. Making sure when you join into a company, like, are there good mentors here? Like, pay attention to that. Not like salary or anything else. Number one priority should be mentors, making sure that there is a right mentor around it. Of course, before getting into those companies, I would recommend getting into some online courses. Again, I would say Python is one of the easiest ways to get into this industry. So I would say learn one language, start with it, and do some pet projects while you are still in the industry before you risk into this new industry. Making sure, do you love this thing at all? Do you love IT? That's number one priority. Then, are you capable of doing that? Find out that, okay, after you do yes, yes, check, then apply for jobs, even as an intern.
Hmm.
Then just grow your resume after that, I would say.
Hmm. Okay, great, great. So now I will go into more other questions. Can you Okay, can you share? That's a very interesting question. Can you share your opinions about IT businesses? Because I don't know coding, but I'm really into IT business. Where do you see this IT businesses going? Maybe in the future in Canada. Your opinion about things about IT business as a whole.
Sure. Like one of the most famous words is software is eating the world.
Okay.
So, so everything is digital first. When some people open a company, even if it's anything, to make it scalable, they want to utilize IT. They want to make sure. So, uh, IT is gonna keep growing more and more. Of course, I think everybody agrees that it's still very early ages. I think if you look at, for example, some developing countries, IT is completely very underdeveloped still. Like most of the businesses, like banking industry, is very very slow now. They don't use IT, they don't utilize it to the maximum yet. All these IT solutions, technologies. So I would say it's promising. I mean, it's still promising. It's gonna keep growing. It's never late still. And IT business, how can I get into IT business? So I would say find someone in IT and collaborate together. So I have some friends who we collaborate sometimes. They're in finance field or other fields, and I'm in IT. And I love to work with people from other industry and use my skills to grow with other industries too. So I would recommend try to network with a lot of IT people. Make sure if you have some business plans, business ideas, pitch them, like say, let's split like 50-50, open a new business. You'll do the coding part, I will do the sales, I will do marketing, I will do whatever I can except coding
Yeah.
to do this business.
Because
And just keep
usually sorry to interrupt, but usually the combination of IT and non-IT people, they end up having great startup ideas, right? That to realize you need coding, but at the same time you need people, let's say salesperson, more business oriented and so on, right?
exactly, yeah. Because there are a lot of software engineers who actually don't like their job, right, in their company, or they don't like their company. They want to try to open some business. If you can bring something that they cannot do, and ask them like, let's do these projects. Let's start in the weekends, do it, and if it grows, then you can quit your job and let's make it a company. And in that way, it's good.
Great. Dear listeners, excuse me, I need to drink some more water. Dear listeners, follow us. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube. Put a like if you like this conversation, and we will have more of them in the future. We Just a reminder, our special guest today is Bek Abdikamalov, originally from Uzbekistan, worked in South Korea, and now he's working at Amazon Canada. It's a joint project. Today is a joint project between Sobirovs law firm and Immigration Shop. I will give a quick break and then we will come back to the questions. Let me just do some sponsorship advertisement and then we'll get back to you.
Applying for a Canadian visa or permanent residence is hard. Trying to figure out what documents to collect, where to send, and how to get your visa approved. Phew! And let's be honest, licensed professionals charge a lot for their help. Now with Immigration Shop, submitting your visa application is easy. Immigration Shop is a do-it-with-a-lawyer platform created by Canadian immigration lawyers to help applicants like you prepare your visa applications with confidence. And best of all, you don't need to spend tons of money. Our fun and easy video lessons are designed to walk you through the process step by step and give you professional templates so you don't have to guess anymore if you're doing things right. You will also have experienced immigration specialists on your side during the whole process, ready to answer your questions and even review your documents. We guarantee that with Immigration Shop, your chances of approval will be significantly higher than if you relied on the information from the internet or an unlicensed agency. Visit www.immigrationshop.ca today and learn how to submit your application the smarter way.
That was a quick word from our sponsor. We are back with Bek Abdikamalov of Amazon Canada. Thank you for everyone that joined us today, and we will continue with the questions. Don't shy away. Put your questions out there. We will pull them to the screen and crack at them. Have a crack at them. Okay. Thank you for those who are actively participating. Now, the question is here. There was a question from Ilham about cement production plants in Canada. I will have to answer that.
Yes, I'm an expert on that.
Yeah, there are cement production Canada. That's a good question. Yeah, there are cement production plants in Canada because there's a lot of construction going on in Canada. Thousands of people moving into Canada as immigrants. They need places to stay. That's why real estate, I hope Bek will confirm, real estate is very high. It's a very expensive, especially in Vancouver, Toronto, and other big cities of Canada. Of course, there are a lot of cement production in Canada, which is necessary. Now, here's a question from Muhammad John Toshbulatov. By the way, Muhammad John is doing his master's in IT at Queen's University in Dalhousie University in Halifax, in Nova Scotia. He's your colleague. He's into cybersecurity, and he asked this question: how likely is it to get a job when applying on Amazon Jobs website compared to applying with a reference from someone who works at Amazon? What's the likelihood?
I think that's a great question. I think, of course, if you have a chance to get a reference from someone who works at Amazon, it's a very, very good. I think I don't have like a data to back up some kind of number, like it will be 5 times more likely, but I would say it will be definitely more likely than just applying with a website, because I think that most of people just apply on the website because it's easy to, but it's so hard to get into reference to. But it goes back to, again, the same thing I was talking about, which is like stand out from other people. How can you stand out? That's one of the things, is knowing someone who works at Amazon and being recommended by someone who works at the company. I think definitely, if you can find someone, I would recommend. So I will give you another website which you can find people who can refer you. It's called levels.fyi.
Okay.
Also, there is a website. So my name is Abdik there. So I think so.
Okay.
And there is a Team Blind. There is a website called Team Blind that you can find people who work at Amazon or some Facebook and stuff, those companies, top companies, and say like, this is my resume, can you please recommend me? And sometimes there are some kind people who actually recommend you.
Excellent. Very good tips, guys. This is so valuable. It's like you're getting the gems of insider information. And thank you, Muhammad John, for your question. And I'm sure you will find your way into big companies in Canada. All right. Now, another question from another feedback from Fred was about watching out when you're looking for a job. It's a piece of advice from him. That's very good. Thank you, Fred. And okay, here's a question from regarding education. What should students pay attention to university? Which subjects at the university they should pay attention more or care more about stuff like web, mobile, etc.? Because universities are somewhat outdated. They teach useless things sometimes. What do you say for that? To that?
It's a very yeah, I agree that they sometimes teach useless things. I agree with that opinion. But to some very small extent, I would agree. Mm-hmm. But most of the subjects that are not related to coding are not all useless. That's for sure. Studying chemistry, studying biology, the basics of life, how the life is constructed, to be a good person, to be an intellectual, to be an interesting person, you have to know many fields, history, because you will not be just coding. You'll go out, you talk to people in your industry, you will be a parent soon, right? You'll be a father or mother. You want to be able to say like, oh, I know Python, or I just like coding, right? You want to be able to like, oh, sun is rising or like at this time because like it's the planets evolve like this, how evolution works. Like you want to be well-rounded person. So I would say always pay attention. Just don't get stuck with saying like coding and coding and coding. And you'll end up being one of the most boring person when you meet some people.
I see.
So I would suggest like always, but of course, like
for example, like the legends like Steve Jobs, God bless his soul, he learned calligraphy, right? He learned calligraphy in order to design fonts, make it more useful. So the iPhones that we carry today is because he learned something beyond IT, beyond technology. He learned that feelings, how to convey the art, basically. He learned the art. Okay, now here's a great question from Sunnatullah. He's asking, is it possible to transfer from England to Canada? Thanks in advance. Let me take a crack on this. Take a look at this question. Yes, you can transfer. Two things. If you're studying in England, ask your English student office whether you can transfer to a Canadian university. If you're working in England, then ask the company. Maybe they have an office in Canada. Yeah, there could be something called intra-company transfers from England to Canada. Thirdly, if you are a permanent resident in England, then yes, you can, or citizen of the United Kingdom, you can come to Canada very easily. And I think because of your travel experience, you have legal status in England, your Canadian visa will be relatively easy to get. So, Bek, what's your take on this question?
Yeah, so I think Rakhmad covered most of the things. So when you get into job, for example, in Amazon of Ireland office, you'll be, can you hear, right?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. So you can do internal transfer. You can request for internal transfer, like to get into another office in another country. That's very easy. That's no problem with that. Mm-hmm. But from another company to another company, of course, you cannot do transfer, but you just have to apply for that company again. So that's what I would add to that.
Dear listeners, you can ask questions in Russian, in Uzbek, and in Turkish. I will be able to translate it, but the answer will be only in English. So I apologize for that inconvenience. Now, another question is, here's a great question from Hamida Faizullaeva. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? In 10 years?
Yeah, I know, Hamida. So, yeah, I see myself in 10 years. Where do I see? I guess one of my main goals is to open my own company. Mm-hmm. So all the things I'm doing in life is to make sure that I'm ready for that. Even work experience at Amazon, I think I will learn. So in 10 years, I see myself as a CEO of some great company. I don't know the location exactly, but I love Canada so far. Yeah. Maybe Canada. Yeah. So that's my goal.
Stay in Canada. That's a great country.
Yeah.
That's my subjective view on that. All right. So let's get back to other questions. Thank you, Hamida, for this great question. How about the demand for mobile developers? Where do you see the demand? Is it growing? What's going to happen with mobile?
Mobile is just booming. I would say not even growing, but it's like booming. So mobile developers, yeah, you are in very good position. Companies are starting with mobile nowadays. Like when they don't open a website first, but they open a mobile app first. So that's why people call it mobile first.
Mobile first. It's even computers, laptops. We are giving up those things. We are just handheld devices, right? In the future, everything.
Yes.
I see.
It's a great industry. Yeah, mobile developing is just keep working and yeah. You'll be always in demand.
So Malika is asking this question about Amazon interviews. And I think, Malika, you need to go to the beginning of this interview. We are almost 1 hour and 15 minutes talking about this, that Bek highlighted the hiring process of Amazon. And there were a lot of details shared for that, on that topic. So I invite you to look at the beginning. Watch the beginning of this video.
But I can add something here quickly.
Sure, please. If you have.
I know that with Amazon can you hear me, right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. The biggest difference is they really care about behavioral questions in Amazon. They really care about. So please study like 14 leadership principles of Amazon and make sure that you have you can answer great questions well about that, then you'll be in a very good position. That's a big difference.
Great answer. Thank you. Guys, these are the gems of how to get into Amazon. So take a note and share this video with others. Follow us on social media. It will help us. It will help us to be at the top of the algorithm, as they say. So we'd highly appreciate if you like it and share it with others. Okay, now, okay, here's a specific question. What is your exact role at Amazon as a software engineer? If possible, could you tell us, based on, of course, confidentiality taking into account, what are you doing at Amazon specifically?
So currently what I'm doing is I'm doing what's called front-end engineering. Front-end is what you see in the front of any applications, right? Mm-hmm. The user-facing interface. I'm building user-facing interfaces using JavaScript technologies.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's my current role.
I see. Which department you are? Amazon Web Services, or there are many departments of Amazon, right?
So my team is under the worldwide consumer organization of Amazon, which we support other internal teams at Amazon with our products, and we'll help other teams save costs on their infrastructure usages, cloud services. We help Amazon save a lot of money.
I see. So you help Amazon to be Amazon.
In some way, yeah. we help them.
Great. Guys, we are almost 1.5 hours into the conversation. Just a reminder that I'm speaking with Bek Abdikamalov of Amazon Canada. He's a great guy to chat with. I'm really enjoying the interview and since frank conversation. Send us your questions. We will pull up your questions to the screen and try to answer those. If you have any immigration-related questions, I will be happy to answer them too. Okay. Now, there was a question related to IT programs in Canada. Which universities in Canada do you recommend to study about IT? If you have researched, Bek, could you answer this question?
Yeah, I did some because I had some interest in studying PhD here, or maybe I was like considering. So the universities that come to my attention were like UBC, because it's located in Vancouver, University of British Columbia, one of the really top universities here. If you study there, like top companies will really try to get you. And the University of Waterloo is very good in computer science. It's one of the best, I would say. Also, because I wanted to get to Vancouver, number one, so I looked at other Vancouver universities like Simon Fraser University, SFU. It's a very good place. It's one of my friends actually studied there, and I just hear good feedback about those universities, especially in computer science.
I see.
Those are the universities I would recommend.
I would add to that list. Of course, University of Toronto is very good. And the university in Halifax, that's Dalhousie University, is very good. And their program is I think in top 10 globally, the masters in IT, and they are Dalhousie University has a cooperation with Tesla in terms of research and development. So they are very good. University of Waterloo is located in Kitchener-Waterloo area, very close to Toronto. And they have Google, they have BlackBerry, IBM, and everybody in the Kitchener-Waterloo area. So you may consider that university too. And all other universities in Canada are of great quality.
Also, I would add something here, like quickly, which is, I think Vancouver, they're trying to make Canada like a Silicon Valley. Like they're trying to make many IT companies are moving. Amazon is opening one of the biggest headquarters here in Vancouver, for example, that will, I think, employ around like 10,000 people. That's a beautiful building being constructed. So a lot of IT companies are moving here. So
very good.
Welcome.
And another question from Inderpreet is, what are the other languages one needs besides C plus plus, C and C plus plus? What other languages you would suggest to learn? Just briefly.
Sure. I would suggest Python, Java, JavaScript. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Language is almost not important. What is important is your skills in solving problem solving skills. Yeah.
Okay. There are many comments about that we don't understand English, and please speak in Russian. Unfortunately, we decided to keep it English only to be reaching wider audience. I understand that you may have trouble with English, but I will be very honest, as I'm very honest in my other live streams. You need to learn English. It's a world language, and especially when it comes to Canada, you gotta know English. If you don't understand what we are talking right now, that's a problem you need to solve. Do you agree, Bek?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of the most important things. Number one thing is make sure you know the English, and then
yeah, great. And here's a great comment on that. This listener thought that he absolutely forgot English, but now he's enjoying this live stream and he understands. So listen to English. There are lots of resources these days with internet. There's no excuse not to know English. It's as simple as that. Okay.
And English is one of the most easy. I think one of the easiest languages to learn.
Yeah, I agree. Especially with the pop culture and Hollywood culture we have, you got to pick up very quickly. Now, maybe you know this answer or not to this question is your job knock A or knock 0? Do you know that? Knock code? I think it's knock A or B. It's A, yeah,
it's
knock A. All right, good. Knock A. You need to go and Google knock website, and you can type software engineer, and you will be it will be easy to find out. Now, a little bit about immigration, guys, if you allow me, Bek.
Sure.
There are several professions in Canada that are in high demand. Because of that high demand, Canadian government doesn't require Canadian employers, Canadian companies, to do the recruitment or advertisement and everything. Software engineers are one of those category of professions for which you don't need an LMIA to bring a foreigner. For example, a live living example is Bek. He was brought from South Korea. He's a citizen of Uzbekistan, and he's now in Canada working on a work permit. So that's why there are certain professions that don't require LMIA, the special permission from the government to bring a foreigner. There are other professions that require LMIA. So you got to do some research about your profession, and the best website that I can recommend is Job Bank website. There are a lot of helpful pieces of information there. jobbank.gc.ca, and you can apply for jobs from Job Bank. So that's the governmental website. All right, now we are almost done with our live session, guys. If you still have some questions, please let us know. We will be happy to respond. There's a question from Malika. How do we contact Bek? How do we contact him? If you're okay, to be contacted after this session, please share your contacts whenever under the comments. I think the best way is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a professional platform where you can find people and contact them right away. Okay. Did we miss anything, Bek? Do you want to say anything else or tell us a story, your difficulties, your mistakes, anything?
Difficulties, mistakes.
What are the difficulties?
I'm everything perfect. No, just kidding.
Yeah, I wish that you don't have any difficulties in Canada. I'm very glad that you came to Canada, and glad to see you prospering and going one by one through your career, and I'm sure that you will reach new heights very soon. So if anything we missed, we will be happy to hear.
Yeah, thank you for your wishes. Yeah, everything's going so far well. Yeah, just I hope everyone reaches their goals. I see that it's that even trying to watch this, trying to learn this is like a really big step. I think I applaud them for that effort, that trying to learn, asking questions. And one of the things I just want to mention is like don't be shy to ask questions from people, because in the worst case they will not be punishing you for asking questions there. Like I remember one thing, that one of the most important things I remember from my professors is when they're in the lectures, he said like, I don't remember what everything my professor said, but I remember every questions that I asked, that answers I remember. So the more you are active about like asking people and asking ways, like even Steve Jobs said like call them. He used to call like some big companies like, hey, like can you send me some these devices or some hardware, I want to work on this. And when you ask like being very like when you ask like not being rude or like being respecting other people's time is also important, but like being communicating in a very good subtle way very smoothly is one of the most important skills, I think, that never people mention. Like writing well, being gentle about your questions, like, and don't being shy. Like Rakhmad is also very kind. I think he's always helping. I also try to help if you have some questions.
Excellent. So on that
that's
note,
what
Bek, that's very nice of you. There's a great question, the last question that we take, and then we will wrap up our session if you don't mind. Your thoughts on the culture of IT in the IT industry. One thing that this listener Fred noticed is in IT industry, over 95 of people I work with are major introverts and lack communication skills. What's your take on this comment?
This is a very, very good question, and I think, but I see this as not like a negative thing. I see it as an opportunity. Like in Amazon, we say always, we never say problem or mistake, we say opportunity. So it's a very positive way of looking at things. So why do I say it's opportunity? Because it means that you see the problem, you can be the solution. You start with yourself, right? And why I say there is another reason why it's opportunity, because you can stand out. Like back to that things I was talking about, which is standing out. My always goal was like, I want to be a special person. Whatever team I join, I want to be that bright energy. I want to be that positive thing, like a bright light in that place where I spread the energy. I would use the word catalyst. Like you want to be the catalyst of the place that sparks the place. So I would say work on your communication skills, and it means it's easy for you. You don't have any competition, right? If you're good at coding, if you're a great person at communicating, then you are in the very good place. I think why I get the job at Amazon, I think I would give most of the reason is that I was kind of easy to communicate with, because you are interview, they like you. Make sure that they like you.
Yeah.
Like it's a very, very not very difficult thing to do. I think if you work on your communication skills, and your, like, I would recommend meditation for like communications, especially like being present, like listening to the other person, not like waiting for your turn to speak. Like those kind of small details, like Dale Carnegie's book, like How to Win Friends, like those great books, like you can stand out as an engineer. It's a great opportunity.
Yeah. Great. Well, that was an amazing conversation, Bek. I really thank you for your time, for your kind attention, and responding to each and every question we had. I think we covered each and every question today that were posed in English. There were some questions not relevant to us. That's why we skipped. But 99.9% we covered. Thank you very much for your time. And I wish you all the best in your new career. Welcome to Canada. I hope to see you in Toronto very soon, and maybe we can convert you convert you from Vancouver to Toronto. You never know. So, thank you very much, Bek, and I wish you all the best, dear listeners. On your behalf, I thank Bek for his valuable insights and answers and suggestions. Follow us on social media. We'll get back with other interesting guests in the future. Thank you again, Bek. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Applying for a Canadian visa or permanent residence is hard. Trying to figure out what documents to collect, where to send, and how to get your visa approved. Phew! And let's be honest, licensed professionals charge a lot for their help. Now with ImmigrationShop, submitting your visa application is easy. ImmigrationShop is a do-it-with-a-lawyer platform created by Canadian immigration lawyers to help applicants like you prepare your visa applications with confidence. And best of all, you don't need to spend tons of money. Our fun and easy video lessons are designed to walk you through the process step by step and give you professional templates so you don't have to guess anymore if you're doing things right. You will also have experienced immigration specialists on your side during the whole process, ready to answer your questions and even review your documents. We guarantee that with ImmigrationShop, your chances of approval will be significantly higher than if you relied on the information from the internet or an unlicensed agency. Visit www.immigrationshop.ca today and learn how to submit your application the smarter way.